box design would not have been possible without the major leadership support of our wonderful partner and funders, Shelby White and the Leon Levy Foundation. Lakeside has also received tremendous support from our leaders in government, most notably Mayor Bloomberg, with both his financial support and his insistence on great public design. Brooklyn Borough President Martin Markowitz, New York City Council led by Brad Lander and the Brooklyn delegation, and this phase of the project has also received funding from the Environmental Protection Fund of the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the New York State Dormitory Authority, and the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, Arts and Antiquities. I'd also like to recognize the invaluable leadership and support of Borough Commissioner Kevin Jeffrey every day. Commissioner White joins me in thanking former Parks Commissioner Adrian Benefee, who could not be here today, and my predecessor, Tucker Thomas, who is here today. For their vision and determination, setting this whole project in motion. The amazing work of the Alliance's landscape architect, Christian Zimmerman, and his outstanding team, Crystal Gaudio, Laura Evans, Alden Madry, and former colleagues Louise Smith and Erin Grisover also deserve our thanks. It's not very often that one has a bouquet for one's contractor, but Ravine Construction has been a real creative partner in bringing this design to fruition. And we are deeply saddened that Joe Izzo, Ravine's president, is not here with us today to celebrate the culmination of his hard work. But we're so pleased that his wife Kathy and the Ravine team are here today. Finally, the Prospect Park Alliance is incredibly fortunate in having a wonderful and supported board of directors. And some of those directors are here with us today. Andy Bursch, Grace Volkhausen, and Curtis Kravitz. And now I'm very pleased to introduce the chair of the Prospect Park Alliance Board, Al Gardner.
I don't know why I think it makes sense to stand in front of the mic. And if you can't hear me, maybe Marty can come up here and join me. Thank you. I want to welcome you all here today. It's truly, truly a special day. Tupper, we did it, didn't we? I am really humbled and privileged to share with you the return of this gorgeous shoreline and landscape. Olmsted and Box, the designers of Prospect Park, as you all know, were visionaries of their time, and the brilliance of their groundbreaking landscape architecture is proven by its continued relevance and importance today. In addition to restoring the landscape, the Alliance has meticulously restored the area's many historic elements under the leadership of our own Christian Zimmerman. From the majestic urns behind you that you passed in your way here today and the rails behind me, it's all a precise restoration of what was here. We are extraordinarily grateful to Shelby White and for the personal memories that it inspired her to do what she has done. We have brought back, through her generosity, Music Island and the Esplanade to this park and to the people of Brooklyn and all of New York City. On behalf of the Alliance, I would also like to take this time to, in particular, recognize the very generous donors and supporters we have had financially in doing this. Starting out with Mayor Michael Bloomberg, Brooklyn Beat, and #1 Nets fan, Marty Markowitz, Speaker Christine Quinn, and the entire Brooklyn delegation of the New York City Council, former Beat, Howard Dalton, New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, U.S. Representative Yvette Clark, former U.S. Representatives Anthony Weiner and Major Owens, New York State Assembly member Joan Millman, New York State Senator Eric Adams, New York State Council member Stephen Levin, New York City Council member Louis Fidler, former New York City Council member David Yaskey, Brooklyn Community Foundation, and J.P. Morgan Chase. I would also like to recognize again, the second to do so, our founding president, Tupper Thomas, and I also would like to personally recognize, although he's not here today, our founding chair, Terry Christensen, for his leadership, their leadership, without which we wouldn't be here today. Emily, back to you.
I also wanted to acknowledge, again perhaps, if I already did, Council Member Brad Lander, who is here today, and Council Member Matthew Eugene, both of whom are very strong supporters of the park.
Yes.
And now I am delighted to introduce a man who I always say, and it's true, needs no introduction from me, Brooklyn Borough President Marty Margolin.
Thank you very, very much. And you have to admit Brooklyn's on a roll big time, I have to tell you. It just keeps on coming in. And by the way, we deserve every bit of it and more, that's for sure. But Emily Lloyd, thank you for your outstanding leadership. Whenever I see Tupper, I know it's going to be a good day, Mayor, because you are tough, is really tough, always. Algona, thank you, and the entire board and staff of the Prussian Park Alliance on this very exciting day. By the way, rain is good. It's a mitzvah. It's a blessing when it rains on any opening, so this is a good thing. I also want to thank very, very much our mayor, because it's under his leadership that the parks in New York City, not just Brooklyn, are looking better than ever. And Prospect Park, wow, that's all I can say. Unbelievable. As further proof of Mayor's visionary leadership, he made a great appointment of Parks Commissioner Adrian Benepe, who, by the way, outstanding job, but never lived a day in Brooklyn. But he corrected it because he appointed Veronica White as our new commissioner. And although she lives in the outer borough of Manhattan, she comes from Brooklyn. Her family still lives in Brooklyn. Once a Brooklynite, always a Brooklynite. So thank you. And our great Brooklyn Parks Commissioner, Kevin Jeffrey, proud Crown Heights resident. Wonderful work, Kevin. And our council members that are here, and also our poet laureate mayor. She works for $1 less than you, Tina Chang. Tina? All of this would have not been possible without the generosity of Shelby White and the Leon Levy Foundation. Shelby, I know you're one of the greatest philanthropists that Brooklyn ever produced. You and your husband of blessed memory were among the most generous in this city, especially when it comes to beautifying Brooklyn and making our borough even more livable. And that's why I'm proud that from now on, the Music Island will be known as the Chaim Bear Music Island in honor of your father of blessed memory. And this beautiful Esplanade will be known as Shelby White and Leon Levy Esplanade in honor of the love that you will always have for each other. And there's no doubt that it'll inspire future Brooklyn lovebirds as they walk down this Esplanade in the future. Now, a whole new generation of Brooklynites will be able to appreciate the beauty of the Music Island. Not only that, there's no doubt that the restoration will attract even more visitors from across the city and beyond who want to see the urban park that set the standard for the rest of our country. Now, winter's around the corner. Before you know it, we may be blanketed with a little snow. You never know. And we'll be able to experience the lakeside just like Shelby did growing up. Families can introduce their children to the wonders of the natural world, and adults can enjoy some peace and quiet. Or maybe even meet that someone special. After all, we in Brooklyn, we're a place where legends are made and dreams come true. And so, if I may, since it is our new Parks Commissioner's first official event in Prospect Park, I'd like to officially welcome her to the Borough of Queens and the home of the future NBA champs. Commissioner White is a proud daughter of Bay Ridge, the crown jewel of our city's park right here. We got it all. And so I welcome you and congratulations on your great new life.
Test, test, test.
I'm not sure that's actually better, but they were afraid that I lost my loud Brooklyn roots since I've been in Manhattan for a few years. But I can assure you in the back that I can be heard without the mic when it goes off. So big thank you and congratulations to so many people here today. First of all, thank you, Borough President. It's always great to return to my hometown of Brooklyn. And congratulations to everyone at the Prospect Park Alliance, to Al Garner, to Emily Lloyd, to Tupper Thomas, to all of those who worked on this project for so many years and have made this park such a beautiful jewel in our park system throughout the city. A big thank you, of course, to Shelby White for her funding. Without this event would not be possible. And of course, our elected officials, to our council members, Brad Lander, Matthew Jean, and all the folks in all the different parts of the different agencies who've come together to collaborate on this project. What's important to recognize is that the park system, and it is a giant park system of 29,000 acres, under this mayor, under Mayor Bloomberg, and under First Deputy Mayor Patty Harris, has been restored and even made greener and greater than it's ever been before. This mayor has been with us at the Parks Department, not only in the sunny budget years, but in those rainy budget years, of which we've had many. He's been a supporter, an advocate, a friend to all in the Parks Department, and knows not only that it's important for keeping people in New York City, open space, green, a sustainable city, but he's given a mandate to all his commissioners in all those many EDC, DDC, DEPs, any agencies you want to come up with that are city agencies, to work with us in parks to make it a green and sustainable city, because we know that's why people come here, why they live here, why they stay with their families, and also why there's over 50 million visitors each year, and Prospect Park is a big attraction to those visitors that come from throughout the country and throughout the world. So a warm welcome to the mayor, who is a friend, an advocate, and a supporter of all parks, especially in Brooklyn, but in those other outer boroughs as well. Thank you so much.
Veronica, thank you. You know, I've always said that Emily Lloyd and her predecessor at the top of the Prospect Park Alliance, Tupper Thomas, are some of the best rainmakers for parks in the whole city, and they've certainly proved it again today. So I don't know if it's a mitzvah. Somebody made that up. They always say that if it rains at a wedding, the marriage lasts longer. Is there any evidence of that? Anyways, I don't remember what happened when I got married, whether it rained or not. But it lasted 20 years. My ex and I have 2 wonderful daughters. We're still closest of friends. You know, it worked out okay. So whatever the wedding, the weather was, that's fine. Back when Frederick Olmsted and Calvert Vaux designed this beautiful park, the overall look that they wanted was rural and wild, and they succeeded. In fact, for the forests and waterways they created for Prospect Park can make you forget that you're still really in the heart of the city. But they made a big exception here at what they called Music Island and this man-made lake right behind me along the lakeside and the Esplanade along it. This area was intended for concert audiences and other large social gatherings, so the design featured decorative stonework and railings and other more formal elements. And then, as we all know, about 100 years ago, the city built the nearby Woolman ice skating ring, and in doing that, Music Island and the Esplanade were demolished and covered over. And what was destroyed in the process wasn't simply a historic landscape. New York has also lost the chance to stroll the shores of this enchanted lake and enjoy a spot both for socializing and also for solitary peace. Now, thanks to the Prospect Park Alliance and the generosity of a very special friend of the park, who I'll introduce in a moment, we've gained back what we lost. It only took us 100 years, but nobody's going to remember that it only took 100 years. What they're going to know is from now on, it is here. And today we're celebrating completion of the first phase of the Lakeside project. Our administration has committed $19 million of the taxpayers' money to this overall $74 million effort, which will include 2 new rings. The historic Esplanade and the Music Island that we're dedicating today incorporate many of the graceful elements of the original design for the area, and that also will achieve the larger purpose that Olmsted and Vaux had in mind. And after more than 50 years large numbers of people will once again be drawn to these lovely shores. Now, everybody's been listed that contributed, and in fact there's an awful lot more. Just start with the 8.4 million citizens in this city who are putting their money on the line. But there's one person that did more than anybody else. One extraordinary woman whose gift of $10 million really got this project moving forward. She grew up not too far from here. She has fond memories of playing in the park as a girl, which was only about 30 years ago. And she wanted Brooklyn's children to always have that same pleasure as well. I used to, many years ago, had the luck to know and to work with her late husband, Leon Levy, who I've always said, if you're going to put together a dinner party of the smartest people that you'll ever meet in the world, Leon Levy would be one of my first choices to put at that dinner party. And I did have plenty of chances to have dinner with him. His friendship is something that I will always remember and value, and I'm sure that he'd be thrilled with this project. And so it is fitting, very fitting, that through the Leon Levy Foundation, our next speaker herself, a great New Yorker who first interviewed me, she reminded me, at a Chinese restaurant. Who paid for the dinner? I did? That's like I had dinner with, lunch with Soros. I asked them for $30 million for the Young Men's Initiative that we're working on. I got it, but only on the condition that I matched it, and then he stuck me with the bill for lunch. There's just no absolutely. Anyways, we're going to keep Leon Levy's memory alive, and we're going to have a chance many times in the future to say thank you to Shelby White, who is just one of the great people, one of the great New Yorkers, one of the great Americans any of us will ever meet. Dear, all yours.
Thanks, Mike, Marty, Veronica, everyone. This is really a wonderful moment for Prospect Park, for Brooklyn, for New York City, for me, my family, some of who are sitting here, including my daughter Tracy. I watched this project develop over the past years with Tupper Thomas and Emily Lloyd, and finally, what was a vision is a reality. And I might add, since no one else has already said it, on time and on budget. Congratulations, everybody. I'm sure the mayor is thrilled that this part is completed, so he doesn't come back here to have another welcome speech from me, since he's been here a few times on this same project. But anyway, I grew up a block from the park, and I played here as a child. What I didn't know then was how special this was. I had never heard the name of Olmsted, nor did I realize that there weren't similar parks all over the country for other children to enjoy. In fact, though, I knew it was special. When I first met Leon, he said to me, "Shelby, Athens had 50,000 people. Brooklyn had millions. They produced Plato, Aristotle, etc., etc. What did Brooklyn do?" And I said, "We had Prospect Park and the Dodgers." Well, when I came back to see Prospect Park after many years, it had really been neglected. And while I realized I couldn't do anything about bringing back the Dodgers, I knew I could do something for Prospect Park. So it was a great pleasure to do this, and I'm particularly pleased that Museum Island will be named for my father. He came to this country on October 2nd, 1906, as a small boy with his mother and sisters on a boat called the Prince Frederick Wilhelm, which left from Bremen. According to records at Ellis Island, my grandmother, Molly, had a total of $36 in her pocket. They lived on Georgia Avenue in Brooklyn, and my grandmother sold fruit from a pushcart. My father's education stopped at the 8th grade. Despite his lack of formal training, my father loved music. I was a fortunate beneficiary of this passion. As a child, I was able to go to some of the great musicals of the day: Oklahoma, Annie Get Your Gun, Pajama Game, and at home we listened to music on the Victrola. I remember the Vox record series featuring Jose Ferrer narrating the life of Chopin. My mother played the piano. So when the opportunity to name Music Island was presented, it was an easy choice. Dad, this is for you.
Thank you, Shelby. I want to thank the musicians from the Brooklyn Conservatory Music for the music we had this morning. And now I am really delighted to introduce Tina Chang, Brooklyn's Poet Laureate.
Thank you. Hello, how are you today? Poets have often found inspiration in nature. So when we think of someone well-known like Walt Whitman, William Carlos Williams, and the famous poet Robert Frost, these are all people who have found inspiration in places such as this. So I thought I would channel America's most well-read and beloved poet right now, who is Mary Oliver. And she finds great inspiration in nature, the natural world, the wild, but really she's talking about the human spirit. She has a very famous poem called The Summer Day, and I wrote a poem after her poem called The Fall Day. But of course, when I wrote it, it was sunny out, so I had the sun in mind, but really I'm talking about your perspective and your human spirit as well. The Fall Day. Who fashioned this wind? Who stitched the leaning grasses, the outlines of stone? Who created the lake that mimics the sky's kingdom? This lake, the one who is amber flecked in shining light, who rustles the fragments of garnet leaves, who shelters bluegills and bass, who arranges her tangled hair each time the sun passes. Now she pulls on her overcoat, warms her hands. Now she lies down and floats, mindless but free. I don't know exactly what peace is. I do know how to rest, to momentarily recline under the elm trees, to relinquish my present to the wind, how to be still, how to see things clearly as they are, which is the closest I can get to peace, which is what I've been doing all season. Tell me, what else should I have accomplished? Doesn't every minute expire, fall away into the reflective sheen of the past? Tell me, what is it you intend to do with this, your beginning, your living and radiant day? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tina. And it seems to me that was a perfect poem for today. Now I invite you all to pause for just a moment while we decide exactly where we're cutting the ribbon, which I think is going to be inside under the circumstances. So you may be able to stay where you are. And those who are participating in the cutting, please join us up front for the actual dedication.
Guys, we're going to do this on 3. Get your pictures now. Get your pictures now while we're standing. We can't do this more than one. Are we ready? We're going to do it on count of 3, starting at 0. Ready? 0.
Hands up, please. Hands up.